Good morning. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're enjoying a beautiful weekend here. Whatever you are doing, now, if you are just sitting outside having coffee or tea and relaxing, then I hope you're doing that. If you're busy and working and doing things that you don't have the chance to do during the week, then I hope you're enjoying that as well. And I've got a very special show in store for you today, really deep and really audacious, quite frankly, because today we're looking at lesson 84 in the workbook for students. And lesson 84 is a review of lessons 67 and 68. And I'm going to do something today that I don't always do on the live stream. And I'm going to read verbatim some of the written material here in the course, in the workbook, and let it sit with you. And I'm really, really curious to hear from all of you in the comments how this sits with you. In other words, does it ring true? Are you experiencing a great amount of resistance? Some resistance? None at all? Does it make you feel joyful, happy, powerful, completely empowered? Yeah, I'll be very curious to hear that. But first, also, if you're tuning in live, number one, what are you doing for fun this weekend? Let's start with that as a question, because it's really, it should be fun, right? It's Saturday. So if you're not having fun, I hope that you will pretty quickly here, because that is kind of what every day is all about. So what are you doing for fun this weekend? Are you going someplace? Are you just relaxing, kicking back? Whatever it is here as I bring up the live, and I just would love to hear from all of you. Hello, Hope. How are you? Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. This is one of the most fun parts of all of this is the live interaction. So yeah, I love it. All right. Thank you for joining me. So let's just launch right into this. Lesson 84 is one of a string of review exercises that we're doing right now. And what we're doing is we're reinforcing our own learning. All of spirituality is like that. Meditation, for example, is like that. Every time you meditate, you are, of course, learning, you're experiencing, but you're also reinforcing where you've been. And progress in spirituality can be a tricky thing, can't it? Because every moment of every day is an opportunity for us to practice. And in the thick of our daily lives, we may get frustrated. We may have our habitual tendencies come up and speak to us or shout at us really loudly, maybe. And we don't always act the way that we would like to. We all have learning experiences along the way where we fall back into habitual tendencies. So progress in spirituality can be really tricky because sometimes we feel like we're not getting anywhere. Yeah, sometimes we feel like nothing is being accomplished. You ever felt that way with your practice? I mean, I certainly have. Because it's difficult moment to measure it. But what I encourage everyone to do is review. And it's one of the themes of today is reviewing, because if you look back on where you were when you started meditation practice, whether it was last week or whether it was 30 years ago, how much change has happened in your life? How different are you now as compared to back then? That's a much better measurement of what your spirituality is doing for you. What your practice is doing for you is looking back over the course of time. How different are you? Now, ideally, we'd all love to be able to say that we're kinder, that we're more forgiving, more patient, maybe, more powerful, perhaps, yeah, certain, crisp, with a 100% certainty that we're doing everything that's in our and everyone else's best interest, extending love, in other words, at all times. Yeah? Does that sound like fun? We'd all love to be in that place. Yep. What we do is we show up moment to moment, and we make a choice for love. That's it. That's all. We choose love instead of fear. And as we keep doing it again and again and again, we begin to have a vastly different life experience. Things show up differently for us. People show up differently for us. More abundance flows into our lives. I'm not just talking financial, but that could be too. Opportunities for us to extend love, opportunities for us to feel love and to know by our extending it that we're learning the lessons that we're supposed to learn. And that sense of purpose is one of the prime benefits of spiritual practice. It is living your life with the purpose that you were designed for. It's incredibly rewarding, it's joyful, and it's incredibly powerful to be in that space. And that's my wish for all of you, is to be in that space. All right. So what's it going to take to get there? Well, yeah, work, but it doesn't help, does it, to look at it over the course of what you have to do? Because all we have is right now. And, 10 minutes from now even doesn't exist yet. So all you have is right now, which should take a lot of that burden of worry and stress off of you. It should take a lot of the expectations off of you. And these are expectations, incidentally, that we all put on ourselves. We heap them on ourselves. That's not fair to ourselves. It's not fair to other people that we do that, but we do. So let's all come back to the present moment, which is the only time that we actually have. So let's jump into this guy here. This is really fun. I'm going to read the day's ideas here. This is lesson 84. Again, a review in the workbook of lessons 67 and 68. Now, lesson 67, love created me like itself. This is beautiful, very beautiful. Love created me like itself. Lesson 68, love holds no grievances. Love holds no grievances, none, not a single one. So we're into some very deep stuff here. And we covered these a couple of weeks ago as we went through the workbook. And well, here we are with a review, and it's very, very deep and very powerful. Let me read lesson 67 and the commentary here in the workbook. I'll read it verbatim, and I'll read it twice for emphasis. And just see how it sits with you. How does it sit? Love created me like itself. I am in the likeness of my Creator. I cannot suffer. I cannot experience loss, and I cannot die. I am not a body. I would recognize my reality today. I will worship no idols, nor raise my own self-concept to replace myself, capital S. I am in the likeness of my Creator. Love created me like itself. All right, let that one sit for a little bit. You may have encountered some of these ideas before, and perhaps you have not. So if you have not, welcome, you're in the right place. And if you've encountered them before, welcome again, you're still in the right place. I promise you that. Let's read it again. The idea is lesson 67 in the workbook, Love Created Me Like Itself. I am in the likeness of my Creator. I cannot suffer. I cannot experience loss, and I cannot die. I am not a body. I would recognize my reality today. I will worship no idols, nor raise my own self-concept to replace myself. Capital S on that. I am in the likeness of my Creator. Love created me like itself. All right. Sit with that. I encourage you today. And if it resonates, fabulous. If you're experiencing resistance to some of these truths, such as I cannot die, I am not a body, fabulous, perfect. Yes, welcome that resistance. We try to run from it, don't we? We try to run from it, but spirituality is all about looking at it and releasing it. Any resistance thoughts or feelings that are coming up for you around this or any spiritual ideas are absolute blessings because they're coming up for your release, for you to release them. What is that like? Well, it's walking through a bank of clouds. They may look imposing, like a big, thick fog bank. May look imposing, but you start to walk through it. You might get a little uncomfortable because it's cold and wet, but you realize you're passing right through, that what looked like a solid wall of resistance is nothing but a passing cloud. And if you keep walking, then you're out on the other side in the light, which is who you are. So one of the things that I love, absolutely love, about A Course in Miracles, especially the workbook, is that it says it does not require you to believe in any of these ideas. Ultimately, we are not a body. We are not a human body, man, woman, middle-aged, young, older, all of that. We're not, that's not who we are. It's not who we are. And who we are is, in fact, eternal. So cannot die. The body passes away, sure. It's just a physical thing, but it's not who we really are. So deep down, do you feel that? Do you know that? Have you had the experience of that? Part of the genius of the workbook for students is that it gives us experience, practical experience with the ideas that it puts forth so audaciously. Truth is, it simply is. God is, as we say in A Course in Miracles. Completely unaffected, unsullied, just untroubled by any of the drama that we put ourselves through as human beings. People can run from the truth. People can disbelieve the truth. They can try to hide themselves, but truth remains completely unaffected. It has always been. Reality simply is. And hello, Tanya and Aurora. Everyone else that's watching, thank you for tuning in here live. Yes, it's great to have you. So, do these ideas resonate? Yeah, I hope that they do deep down. And it's okay also if you're experiencing resistance to these. The ego resists truth naturally. That is what it naturally does. So what we do is we show up in the present moment and continue to practice again and again. So this is a beautiful idea, and I don't often, as I mentioned, read what the workbook says verbatim, because we can all do that on our own. But this is extremely powerful, really poignant, and I just love the way that the review periods coalesce this. They distill the essence of the lesson into a few short sentences, and it's memorable. And my hope today is that it really, truly sticks with you. All right, so there's another review idea for today that I want us to look at, and that is number 68 in the workbook, lesson 68. Love holds no grievances. Okay, this one it sounds a little bit more obvious on the surface, doesn't it? But when we get down to it, it shows how we get in our own way in the world. Love, perfect love, capital L, in other words, God, holds no grievances. And if you were terrorized, as I was as a child, by a fundamentalist church, a fundamentalist religion that put forth the idea that God was a powerful, well, man in our case. In my church's case, it was a man depicted as a white dude with a beard, right? So with thunderbolts, ready to strike us down at whim for our transgressions against him. Well, come to find out in spirituality, truth of what is, God has no ego to be offended. So how can there be any such thing as sin or transgressing God, right? Perfect love holds no grievances. None. It's not possible. So what passes for love in the world is not always the real thing, is it? Because we sometimes want to hang on to our grievances. We will forgive some people and not others, in other words. We may love one person and say we despise or hate the next. It's not total. Love, real perfect love, holds no grievances. If we hold out even a single one, then our love is incomplete. Our forgiveness is incomplete. So it's either total or it's not at all. Now, it's either total or it's not at all. Now, you may experience resistance to this. I understand where that comes from, because there are some people, there are some groups, there are some organizations in this world who do not share our values. They don't. However, the lesson for us is that we are to extend love anyway. Does it mean we condone their behavior? Absolutely not. No, you don't have to do that. No way. Healthy boundaries are a beautiful thing. They are. But what we're doing by extending love is we're overlooking error in everyone. So what's the error? Separation. It's not believing one thing politically or in terms of religion, or considering truth something different than what you consider it. Remember, truth simply is. All of our human-made gradations and drama are just fabrications that we could choose to let go of and experience truth as it really is. So anyone that has a different opinion than you is no less deserving of forgiveness than you are. Ultimately, truth is oneness. When we say God is in A Course in Miracles, that's period, mic drop. God is. What that implies is that nothing else truly is. So what we do in spirituality is we open ourselves to that truth. This is what allowing is. This is what allowing oneself to receive is. This is what getting out of your own way is. This is what it involves, is opening to the experience of who we really are. It's opening to the experience of who we really are. All right, so this is one of my favorite lessons in the entire workbook, and I hope that you will sit with these ideas today and see if they resonate on some level with you. And my hope is that they do. And truth be told, everyone, yeah, every workbook lesson is one of my favorites. This one is particularly poignant and powerful. So if you've gone through this before, it's really, really interesting that the first time that someone goes through the workbook, there might be certain lessons that stand out, certain ideas that resonate, where you learn more than others. And that's perfectly okay. Then the next time you go through, it'll be completely different ones. And it's very, very interesting. Again, it's very interesting to take a look at where you started versus where you are now, and see just how differently you really are showing up if you choose love moment to moment, and if you exercise the discipline and the patience with yourself to engage in constant spiritual practice, not every now and then, although nothing is lost. And even if you only do it every now and then, that's still better than not doing it at all by a long shot. But if you're able to do it consistently, persistently, daily, moment to moment, if you're able to get into it and live it, then you will have a vastly, and I do mean vastly, different experience in the world. Vastly different. And it'll be full of purpose, and it will be full of love. And that is my hope for every single one of you. Because when you're in that state, it's a beautiful thing. Trust me. All right. So Paula, hello. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you all, everyone, for tuning in. And drop me a quick comment here in the comment thread. Let me know what you're doing for fun this weekend. And again, if this lesson 84, resonates with you, or even if you're experiencing some resistance to that, I'd still love to hear about that, because I get that. Like, some of these ideas can seem so bold, so audacious, like you cannot die, you are not a body. You'll hear that again, not just from me. You'll hear it again and again until you experience that as truth in your life. And if you're not there right now, that's absolutely fine. You know, I always say that I invite skepticism. I really do. I embrace it on the spiritual path. And you should too. I really think you should, because it means you're asking questions. And that's a great thing. How can that be anything other than wonderful? But while you're at it, please make certain that you're questioning everything. And by everything, I mean literally everything, the foundations of what you currently believe, including your beliefs about who and what you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. In other words, question everything. That is a beautiful mindset to bring to the table. And by the way, it's very, very loving. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to remind you here that this is a daily live stream, so I will be coming to you tomorrow as well. Check the show guide on Enlightened World Network at the beginning of each day, right here on their Facebook page, for the daily show times, because they do bounce around, and there are different shows on different programs at different times, especially tomorrow on a Sunday. So I hope that you're having a great weekend, everyone, and I thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll